All right, here we are with Joe Conzemius. Joe, these are the rapid fire questions. So first thing that comes to your mind, let's hear the answer. What was your first job?
I worked grounds crew at the Hastings Country Club.
Perfect. What about your favorite movie?
Oh, I don't watch many movies, but when I do, it's usually pretty lighthearted. And the one I find myself always going back to is Tommy Boy.
Okay, gotcha. I thought you were going to say Caddyshack after the first job here, but
I do watch that too.
okay.
Yeah.
What about your favorite food?
My mom, when I was growing up, she made this pork chops and rice dish that I loved. So that's the one that always comes top of mind. My wife, she makes a delicious chicken parmesan. So I'd say those are my two favorites.
Perfect. What about your favorite musical artist?
I love music and I listen to all genres. I grew up on classic rock with my dad. My dad was a big music guy. Loved the Rolling Stones. So I'm a big Rolling Stones guy. And then maybe more recently, I've gotten into country music and I love Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen.
Perfect. These Rolling Stone shirts are just coming out of nowhere now. Those shirts, Nirvana shirts, Sublime shirts, all these kids are wearing them nowadays too. So it's funny to see Rolling Stones because all the kids can't name 5 songs or even 2 songs by any of those bands, but they're super popular now. So it's
interesting.
Pretty wild.
My kids are young, so I'm not cool and hip, and I'm not sure what the high school kids are up to.
Well, you'll see it here eventually.
Exactly.
All right. What about, you could take this either way here. What about your favorite author, or you could talk about the best book you've ever read or the best book you've read recently?
I'm in the middle of a book right now that's called The Anxious Generation, which I would encourage all parents of young kids to read it. It's really a eye-opener with what's going on with social media and cell phones and video games. So I'm reading that right now. It's a great book. And then I love all the Vince Flynn books too.
Right on. I know the first book you were talking about, that's by Jonathan Haidt, correct?
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. So I've heard him on a few podcasts, and once again, I haven't read it, but yeah, I strongly recommend taking a look at his work and how, just like you said, all that kind of stuff adds up to what's affecting our kids nowadays. It's pretty wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about your favorite time of the year?
I love the spring. As Minnesotans here, the winters can get long and dark and cold. So by the time March rolls around and April, I'm ready for some warm weather and some green grass and some sun in the sky.
Perfect. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning, always have been. My dad always told us this line: early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Love it. So you're a multi-sport athlete. What is something you did to calm your nerves before a big game, big match, or anything like that?
I always prayed. I'm a man of faith. I grew up in a household that religion was a big part of our life. So I always prayed and I left it in the hands of the Lord.
Love it. All right, next one, biggest pet peeve. So what drives you nuts the most?
I'd say this goes along the same lines a bit as the book I said I read, but when people have their nose in their phones and AirPods in their ears and they're not paying attention to what's going on around them.
Nice. Number 1 dream destination, money is no issue. Where are you headed to?
Oh, that's a great question. I've always wanted to go to South Africa, go on a safari, see some of the wildlife in South Africa. So I'll say that.
Awesome. If you could eat dinner with anybody from any time in history, who would it be?
Oh, that's another great question. I didn't know either one of my grandfathers, so I think it would be really fun to go back and meet both of my grandparents. I hear great stories about both of them, but unfortunately, they both passed away by the time I was born. So I'd love to sit down with them.
Nice. Next one, your favorite professional athlete. So who would that be for you?
Current day?
It could be anytime.
I'm going to give 2 answers. Ben Hogan and Michael Jordan.
Okay. Right on. So you said you're married. How long have you been married for? That's not a trick question. So there's a,
We will be married 8 years in January.
okay. What is the one thing you love most about your wife?
She is so patient. She's patient with me. She's patient with our children. It's funny. I was telling a story to somebody at work today. We had a morning, this is a few weeks ago, and we've got 4 young kids. So it was just pure chaos in the house. And I was trying to get off the door to work, and the kids were screaming and I was screaming. And I looked at my wife and she said, a big smile on her face. And she looked at me and said, my heart is so full right now. So I love that. I just love that about her.
Nice. So what is the one quality that drives her the craziest about you? So like her biggest pet peeve about you?
Oh man. How much time do we got?
Yeah.
I think it would be, I'm always late. I always tell her I'll be home in 10 minutes and I'm home a half hour or an hour after I say I'll be home.
Right on. Last 2 questions here. What is one thing you're excited for in your future?
I think it's the kids. I think it's watching the kids get older and watch them grow up. Like I said, we've got 4 young kids, so 7, 6, 4, and 10 months. So they're just starting to figure out who they are and what they like and what activities they like. And I just think it's going to be so much fun to watch them grow up and figure out who they are.
Perfect. Last one here. What is one thing you miss from being a Raider athlete?
I just think it's the support from the community. As you get older and you look back, it's just amazing to think how much support there was from the fans, from small businesses, to everybody that was there to support and help. And I do think that's really unique about Hastings. And I think it's something that both the athletes and the people in town shouldn't take for granted.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe.